Hi Year 9, welcome to our next lesson in our series of lessons on protest, specifically British protests since the 1800s. We're going to start looking at the suffragette and the suffragists today. First things first, I want you to go to this clip. Now I can't play it for you on here because of copyright, but you can go to the YouTube clip. And I want you to think about what you can infer from it, how women were treated. Now it's a comedy. I know it does say 1940s, but it's pretty much how women were sort of treated anyway. What can you infer about a woman's place in society from this? Now, it is a comedy, but it's a satire. So the point is this is what it was actually like. So have a look. What can you see? And then come back to me. So hopefully you've had a look at that now, and I want you to basically from that write down some things about what you think life was like for women in the 1900s. Okay, what do you think life was like for women in the 1900s? So I'm going to let you pause the video and do that a sec, and then come back to me. So hopefully you've done that now, and we're sort of looking at things along the lines of women obviously didn't have the right to vote. Women were men's property. If you want to get these down as I'm saying them, that's fine. Women weren't allowed to divorce their husbands. Men could divorce women, but women couldn't divorce men, even if they were unfaithful. Only on grounds of cruelty could women divorce men at this point. Once a woman married a man, all of her property became his. So if she had any kind of inheritance, that became the man's property as well. She had no money of her own. If they had children and they got divorced, then she lost her children, she lost the money, she lost everything. Basically, women had a pretty tough life during this time. Their main role was in the home. If they did work, a lot of the jobs that they did were working in things like domestic service, so they were sort of related to housework, related to the things that women would do. Okay, middle class and upper class women wouldn't work at all. So that's what we're looking at women in the 1900s. So you can see why some women wanted to change. Now, what we're going to look at today is the suffragists and the suffragettes. They are two quite different organisations that wanted the same thing but went about it in a different way, and they sort of pushed against each other. So basically, you've got Millicent Garrett Fawcett, who organised the National Union of Women's Suffrage Societies, who are the suffragists. Okay, they're middle-class working women. They're about 500 local branches, and many of Liberal MPs did actually support them. They never used violence. They were peaceful. They petitioned, they used leaflets, they sent out letters, and they lobbied MPs, they organised speeches, they had very well-disciplined marches. So they were anti-violent. They didn't like violence. Now, they weren't working quick enough for some of these women. And so some women broke off and created the Women's Social and Political Union. So Emmeline Pankhurst was in charge of this, and they created this in 1903. So suffragists came first, then a few of the women in the suffragists became disillusioned because they weren't getting anywhere, and the suffragettes were created, the WSPU, Women's Social and Political Union. There's 11 regional offices. They're often associated with middle class and wealthy sort of spinsters. Very militant methods. They had political meetings, and they disrupted certain political meetings as well. They harassed MPs, they threatened with violence, they threw stones at windows, burned down buildings, smashed paintings, blew up letterboxes, even put a bomb in the house of Lloyd George, who was the Home Secretary at the time. They participated in public debates. They were quite often placed in arrested, and lots of stories of being force-fed and that kind of thing. They sort of wore it as a badge of honour. You got a badge every time you got arrested, okay? And that is how they went about things. So you've got the suffragists be the suffragettes. Now, what I want you to do to start with is just cut this down, do a table, suffragists, suffragettes, and just cut down as much as you can the two different things. So what did the suffragists do on one side? What did the suffragettes do on the other side? So I'm going to suggest that you pause the video and do that now. So hopefully you've done that and you've come back to me. So what I want you to do now, attached to this PowerPoint underneath is another PowerPoint with some cards on it, okay? And it's arguments for and against direct action. So direct action means violence, okay? So non-direct action is peaceful, non-aggressive. Direct action is violence. And I want you to sort them into arguments for and arguments against. Either you can colour them in on the PowerPoint, or you can print them off and colour them in yourself. You can cut them out and stick them, whatever you want to do. Split them up for me, okay? So hopefully you will do that now. Pause the video. So hopefully you've done that now, and you'll see that there's actually many arguments for and against, okay? I won't go through that now with you. We'll have a look at that when you're back in class, but hopefully you've managed to pull the differences apart. So I want you to think about now, which movement would women be more likely to support? Which group do you think posed the biggest threat to the government, and which group do you think had the most effective tactics, okay? I want you to answer those questions now. This is your opinion. There's no right or wrong. I want you to answer those questions for me. So again, pause the video for me and get that done. So hopefully you've done that now. Now, what I want you to do now is have a look at this source, and I want you to basically look at, one is suffragette, one is a suffragist, and I want you to fill in as many things as you can about these. So what would your caption be to start with? What would you name this? And just give me some ideas about what these two people are doing. Okay, so hopefully you've done that. Pause the video and do that now. And as a plenary, just give me a little idea, a little sentence, which side do you think you would be on? And once you have done that, we finish the lesson for today. Thank you very much.